So guys, we're getting back into death metal. Now, if you don't know what death metal is, guys, we've been covering on this channel, and Dark Knight's death metal is this big event with the main villain, the Darkest Knight, and his, in a way, apprentice, the Robin King. Now, the Robin King, he got like an origin story in the Legends of the Dark Knight one-shot, which I did cover on this channel. I'll link down in the description. But in this video, we'll expand upon that origin, and we'll see what's happening in the present day. Because in the last main death metal issue, death metal number 4, we saw Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, and Superboy Prime make it to our Earth, right? And they thought they won. They beat all these Crisis worlds. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, also Final Crisis. But turns out the Darkest Knight, he refigured and planned all this out, right? So he took the power from the Mobius chair, took the power from Wally West. Yes, Wally West is a big character in this whole storyline. Took that power and has made the last 52. So we don't get an explanation of the last 52, what that is in this issue. That'll come probably in Death Metal number 5. But what we do get is we see some plot progression here, and we see how powerful the Darkest Knight has become, but also how the Robin King progresses, expand origin story, and what's going to happen to him in the future. Also, the end of this issue is really cool, alright? I actually really like the ending, and you'll see how much I like it when I explain it to you guys. But guys, if you're ready, let's dive into the Robin King number 1. We begin with the prologue. It says, his story starts at his parents' funeral. Mother and father shot in an alley, murdered in cold blood. Now he stands at their graves with his caregiver. Through worn souls, the caregiver can feel the beating of 1,000 wings just below the ground. And when he looks at the boy, his heart nearly breaks, because he knows the boy's thoughts must be just like those bats right now. Frantic, screeching things circling in pitch black darkness. He thinks about reaching out, but instead he turns away. And when he does, the boy hears it. A robin singing in a nearby tree. How free the birds sound, how happy its song goes. Cheer, cheer, cheer. The song speaks to his heart. It's how he felt ever since he shot his parents in that alley. And as the caregiver walks away, the boy makes an oath. Yes, he thinks yes. Father, I shall become a Robin. So we see Bruce in this alternate timeline, this dark multiverse. We see him, instead of pretty much latching onto what a bat is and how he's scared of that and overcoming that fear, instead he latches onto a Robin. The boy uses almost the entire Wayne fortune to make it a belt as bright as the Robin song. Funny enough, he learns during his endeavor that the Robin is the official bird of Gotham City. Forgotten fact, but true. He tinkers and tinkers. People worry about the money he's spending, but he does not pay attention. He hides his real intentions. He's becoming the Robin, a bird that remains cheerful, happy as it conquers. The Robin is the most populous bird in the country after all. There are nearly 300 million and counting. Why? Because it is, in reality, vicious and aggressive, and there's nowhere it won't make its home. It particularly likes areas that have been ravaged by fire or storm. It thrives amidst death and suffering, so will he. He will kill the ones who call themselves heroes. The old guard, the moms and dads, and false idols. Anyone who tries to force him to be good, to care. Now, we see the Robin King, and we see his different panels, how dark he is. But we also see his utility belt. And in this utility belt, we got stuff that can kill multiple heroes. Hawkman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It's actually really cool, guys. This whole double page spread lays out the entire utility belt. Now, that's what we shift to now, present day, and we see the Darkest Knight. It says, heroes, your despair is so thick and lingers in the air. I can taste it, and it's delicious. Wait, Diana, all you wake up and see what you've done, what you give these hands. That's what he says, the power you try to capture, the energy of every crisis in history. You give it all to me. Wake up, so I can thank you all. Now we see Jake Garrick, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Harley Quinn, Swamp Thing, The Flash, Wally West, the Mobius chair, which is not even powerful anymore. They're all down. The Darkest Knight is above them. Now, that's what Darkest Knight says. Thank you for making me the most powerful god in the multiverse. We see the Darkest Knight with all these Joker dragons going around him, and he's ultra powerful, guys. He's really powerful. Now, Wonder Woman says, no, Bruce, Clark, we can't let it end this way. And that's what the Darkest Night says. And, this is the beginning, Diana. The birth of a new multiverse. A multiverse that laughs at you, at your heroism, at goodness. A multiverse now ruled by the Darkest Night and his King of Pain. And that's what Batman says, who in? And we see the Robin King come out of a portal. And the Robin King says, wow, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, what an honor. Not to get all emotional, but honestly, my biggest dream on my world was to get to meet you guys and kill you all. Now, that's when we go to then, in the past on the Robin King's world. Now, where this time is set is after the Robin King killed Alfred, killed Commissioner Gordon, and he's left the Wayne Manor. Now he has the costume of the Robin King. Now, police say, eyes on him. Anyone, where the hell is he? No sign of him. Sergeant Bullock not sits alive on the roof. It wasn't a lie, Detective Montoya. What happened? All I heard was the thing was a gift from Wayne Enterprises, a signal with Burr at the center to celebrate spring, Gotham, whatever. When Jim turned it on, though, there was a hidden microwave can in it, and his face, it was bubbling, Renee. That's when Robin King says, more like sizzling, to be fair. That's when they continue as the Robin King jumps down off this rooftop. Now they say, my God, is Gordon going to make it? Part of me is praying, yes. Part of me is praying he doesn't. Well, we have kids coming in fast. Apparently the rumor is whoever did this is the same monster who's been killing them off, too. When they say whoever he is, let's hope he burns tonight. Now, as we see Firestorm, he comes into Gotham City, and the Robin King lands on his back. And the Robin King says, evening, Firestorm. Welcome to Gotham. Now, that's what Robin King says. So, Ryan, Jason, Doc, whoever's in there, forgive me, but this might sting for a second. Then Firestorm screams, and he says, what the hell did you do? And the Robin King says, it's a tiny particle accelerator. It'll keep amping up your power until you detonate and take the universe with you. That's what Firestorm says, no, please, get out. If I detonate, and then Robin King says, I'm just teasing. It's actually a black hole inversion ball. And Firestorm says, what's happening to me? As he just slowly starts to disappear. And Robin King says, technically, you're collapsing in on yourself. It's actually pretty neat. All your cells are being sucked into your head, faster and faster. And Firestorm says, stop, and disappears. Now, that's what Robin King says, that worked better than I thought it would. Their hunting me has made the last few days wickedly fun. Oh, guns. That's when we see these two pilots come in. They say, time to die, vile whelp. And that's what Robin King says, Hans von Hammer and Steve Savage. Now, that's when Hans and Steve start shooting at the Robin King. Now, that's when Robin King starts swinging around and uses like this lasso to wrap around this plane, right? He says, wait for me, and he says, howdy. Steve says, what the? And Robin King says, hey, to burst your balloon, Stevie, but I need your gun. And Steve says, God. And that's when Robin King takes the gun away and shoots Steve in the head. And Robin King says, oh, a Colt 45. And you're playing. That's when you see Steve Savage just fall to his death. He's dead. And Robin King takes the plane. Now, we see Robin King start going toward Hans, the other pilot, right? And Hans says, your murder stays, and now, soulless creature, the plane start coming toward. And that's pretty much the captions read. The boy feels the eyes of him, children watching from the rooms. He flies straight toward the old man. The war hero, faster and faster, and overkills him. We see Robin King shoot this guy down, kills him, the plane goes crashing, and Robin King says, the word you're looking for is Mayday! That's why he keeps flying, and we see Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and Adam Strange fly in. And Hawkman says, you're finished, creature. Hawkman and Hawkgirl try to take down this plane, but Robin King keeps shooting. He falls to the ground, and he says, the happy hero couple, matching breaks and undies. So cute. That's when he grabs the spear and says, cheer, cheer. He throws the spear and goes right through Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and it goes right through their stomachs. Now, that's when Robin King uses this big explosion, and that's what Adam Strange says, you cold-blooded murderer. And that's when Robin King says, yeah, don't think I forgot about you, Space Boy. That's what Adam Strange says, I should let you fall to your death. And that's what Robin King says, but we both know you won't, because you're Adam Strange, hero of Rand. And that's when Adam Strange starts disappearing. He says, and you're the little brat who's the scourge of, no, not now, the Zaya beam, too early, I finally have. And then he disappears, and Robin King says, what I finally have is a reverse engineered Zaya beam called the ATAS beam. Only kink is I programmed it to face you into the base of that wall. Hey, cool jetpack. Now, we see Rom King land, and we see Alan Strange, he's stuck into this wall. We see all his different pilots dead. We see Hawkman, Hawkgirl dying, and the Rom King, he's ready to go kill more people. But that's when the Darkest Night, actually, the Bound Who Laughs, walks out of his portal, and the Bound Who Laughs says, "What you want will never happen." And Rom King says, "And who are you supposed to be?" And the Bound Who Laughs says, "Someone who cares, someone willing to tell you the truth. I am the Batman who laughs, and this world you dance and prance on with little big man has no real significance in the grand plan of the mighty ones. It is one made orbs that at best offer a diversion of sorts. It can be cast away by a mere wave of the hand. It has no permanence. It's not real." And that's when Robin Key says, "If this isn't all real, then you're saying I'm not real either?" And he says, "But it sure as hell feels real to me, and it sure felt real to these heroes, dead at my feet." And that's what the Bound Last says, "I know, this is all quite confusing, but you, my boy, are the only true thing here. There's a place where you really do feel the blood, hear the death rouse of those you steal the life from. So, what do you think?" And the Ramkey says, "I think I'd like to go there and see for myself." Now, we shift back to the present day, and the Ramkey says, "I love the smell of mud and blood. There's a timeless feel about a sense of ancient battlegrounds, of cautious loss. Don't you agree, Superman?" And Superman doesn't say a word. And Ramkey kicks him in the chest, and Ramkey says, "Come on, this is the fun part. Get up and let's fight." Wonder Woman doesn't get up. That's when Ramkey says, "Ring ring, come on!" And Batman doesn't get up. Ramkey goes over to Batman and says, "I created something special for each of you. Wait till you see. You need to scream, you need to beg, you need to bleed a lot." And that's when we see Animal Man, a Red Tornado, and Blue Beetle come by. And Animal Man says, "The only one who's going to bleed a lot today is you, Devil Boy." That's when Ramkey says, "Blue Beetle, Animal Man, and Red Tornado, please feel free to distract me as best you can." That's when Animal Man says, "We're gonna do more than distraction, punk. We're gonna put you away forever." That's when they start attacking, and Ramkey says, "I'd say I'm scared, but yes." And that's when he starts kicking them, and Blue Beetle says, "Take him down." And that's when we see Ramkey says, "Try and bring me down. Here, Red, try this new fragrance I concocted for you. It's called Mortal Coil." That's when he hits a Red Tornado, and Red Tornado feels some pain. Blue Beetle says, "The key is fast." And Ramkey says, "I love all these different beasts you can become." And Animal Man says, "You like these beasts? How about this one?" He hits Ramkey into a wall, and Ramkey actually feels pain for a sec. Now, Animal Man says, "Surrender. Stop this insanity." And that's when Ramkey walks a little way, but he says, "Gee, I bet you miss your family, Buddy Baker. Maybe it's time to see them and say hello." He releases these seeds, and it turns out it's Animal Man's family. And the son says, "Dad," and the wife says, "Buddy," and the other son says, "Pop." That's when Animal Man says, "Ellen, Cliff, Maxine, I miss you so much. Oh my god, they turned to monsters." And that's when Ramkey says, "Oh, I forgot to mention, I exposed them to this corrupted version of the anti-life equation, turning them into the anti-living. What the anti-living love best is consuming life. And you be a nexus of life on Earth? Buddy, you, them, right now, you're truly the best dad ever." And you see this family, the anti-life, just start eating Animal Man to pieces. Now, that's when we see Red Tornado start to attack. He says, "You twisted freak." As in the distance, we see Animal Man pretty much all chomped up. He's dead. That's when Ramkey says, "I prefer Creative Freak, actually. While we were fighting, I flipped a little something onto your body from my utility belt designed special for you. Since you're such a big fan of scarabs, Teddy, I felt you might want to see one up close." Now we see this real scarab, this real beetle, and starts eating at Blue Beetle. That's what Ramkey says, "But I never finished telling you about the Mortal Coil, Tornado." And Red Tornado says, "Can't stop going too fast. Oh, body is consuming me." And that's when we see the distance. This beetle is chomping at Blue Beetle. And that's what Ramkey says, "That's a general idea, Red. And I also added a little spice. It brings your cells as close to human as possible, mimicking all physical sensation." That's when you see Red Tornado turns into a human. And Ramkey says, you get to be a real boy, or a man, right before you're torn apart, but still, mind Red Shrapnel for me, will you, buddy?" And so we see Blue Beetle dead, Animal Man dead, and Red Tornado, he is killed off. But before he dies, he says, "Flesh and blood like in my electric dreams, feeling love and hate, joy and pain. And that's just the Robin King just starts laughing, and he looks around, but he wants to fight off more heroes. Now we shift to the past, and we see Robin King arrive on the Bound and Laps's Earth. Now Robin King says, "What is this place?" And the Bound and Laps says, "This is my Earth, son. Like you, I set out to conquer it, and I did. Now, it's where I create my knights. I bring Batman here from all across the dark multiverse to see if they have what it takes to win. Some do, and some do not." Now, we see behind him, dead Batman, as they're pretty much pulling these sticks. Now, that's what Batman Last continues. "You, though, I have no doubt that you'll make one of the greatest Dark Knights ever." Now, that's when Batman Last and Robin King start walking up these steps. You see all these goblins, these evil Robins. Now, that's when the Robin King says, wait, you want me to be a bat? Ha! No way, man." And that's when Batman Last says, I know, you want to be a bird. But that's because you're still young. You want to inspire others to follow you. You see a crack a cocoon of a lightning come down. And that's when we see Batman Last say, "But it never works, son. Good, evil. There's no higher calling." We see all these Robins who are not transformed into goblins yet. Now, that's when Batman Last and Robin King walk into this pretty much place that's kind of like Ace Chemical. That's when the Batman Last says, and in the end, what you learn is that there's no winning them over. There's only winning over them. And the Robin King sees all these Robins in these cages being lowered into these chemicals and being turned into goblins. Now, the Robin King says, "Well, what are you doing to them, the Robins?" And the Batman Last says, "Freeing them from pain, from the disappointment you yourself are doomed to face. As goblins, they simply serve the Dark Knights. There's no aspiration for anything else, and they're happy." Then he says, "What you say?" And that's what Robin King says, "I say you talk like the rest of them. Say up rules, forcing everyone to be like you. I still believe that if you show them the way, young people most of all, they will follow the song. I have hope. They're out there." Now, that's when he pretty much predicts the Bound Last Year push him to one of these cages and turn the Robin King into one of the goblins. Pretty much take control of him. But the Robin King is smarter than that. He takes a pill to counteract the effects. Now, as pretty much we presumed, as we predicted, the Bound Last throws the Robin King into this cage. The Robin King, he's afraid, but he remembers. He took that pill. He swallows it. The Bound Last lowers him into this thing, and that's the Robin King. He starts coming out, and he's turned to a goblin, but he still has his mind. Now, that's when we see the Bound Last says, "Say it." And the Robin King says, "Grow." And we see him go toward the Bound Last in this big splash page. Now, we go back to the present day, and the Robin King, he's just thinking about this, and his whole goal is to get all these Robins in that other universe, in the Bound Last's universe, to pretty much follow him. He wants to be a leader. Now, that's when he starts playing with these battle ranks, and he says, "I was so preoccupied with your friends, I almost forgot about you three." That's when Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman start to groan. And Robin King says, "But not really." And then he says, "How do you like my new training rings? First up, my kryptonite one for you. You know who, Superman." And that's when he continues. "My pearl of blood ring for bats. And my special diamond ring, Forged of the Fires by Hephaestus for my lovely Diana." Now that's when he starts fighting, hits Superman in the jaw, and actually blood comes out of Superman. He starts to attack Batman and Wonder Woman. And Robin King says, "Rise, you princess and princesses of Gotham, Metropolis, and Themyscira, let the battle begin." He starts fighting back and forth. A lot of blows are exchanged. You see Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman all get defeated down. But that's what the Darkest Knight says, "Enough." And that's what he says, "Playtime is over, time to go." And Wonder Woman says, "It's not possible. He's growing exponentially in power." Batman and Superman are shocked. Robin King says, "No, not yet." And that's when the Darkest Knight says, "It's time, child." And Robin King says, "No, let me finish. I want to show them. I want to show them." That's when the Darkest Knight, his hand comes down and says, "Come with me." And that's when Robin King says, "No, I won't go back into the cage. I won't. The Darkest Knight takes Robin King by pretty much in his hands. You see the Darkest Knight is all ultra powerful now. He's huge. You see the whole entire universe, the entire multiverse. And the Darkest Knight says, "Don't be afraid, little one." And the Robin King says, "Where are you taking me? We're going back to your planet, aren't we? Aren't we?" And the Darkest Knight says, "All this time, you try to prove that hope is real. That if you show people the way, they will follow." And that's when the Robin King says, they will. I can feel it. Back there with the tree. And the Darkest Knight says, the pill you took before I changed you infused the Robin Pit. Every goblin made after you retained a tiny amount of free will. And that's when Robin King says, so, what, you killed them? And the Darkest Knight says, no. I let them watch you from my world to prove you wrong, that they would still crow for me. But when I returned to see it, I was surprised to hear something else. The Robin King looks out. He says, that sound. That's when the Darkest Knight says, they broke their chains and they await the one and only Robin King. And you see all these Robins, these goblins just say, cheer, cheer, cheer. We see a whole army of goblins, and the Robin King takes his place as their leader. So guys, that was the Robin King #1, and I'd actually like to know all your thoughts on it down below, but let me tell you my thoughts right now. So overall, I thought it was a solid issue. I did like seeing what's in Robin King's utility belt. That was really awesome, especially that double page spread. It just shows how much work was put into this comic, guys. That double page spread, you see the whole utility belt. It's actually laid out pretty dang well. It looks pretty good. And I do like, okay, the idea of Bruce, instead of going with the bats, it goes with the bird. It's kind of a stretch, but still an interesting idea. Now, we already got the Robin King's origin story, so this really isn't his origin story. This is just expanded upon. Like, okay, think of it like this. Alright, we have his origin story, but what comes after that? That's pretty much what it is. And it is interesting. I think it's really cool to see him take down all his heroes. Firestorm, Animal Man, Blue Beetle, taking down like Hawkman. That whole sequence of him killing heroes was gruesome, but pretty awesome at the same time. It shows his character, alright? Now, I did like the idea of how, okay, he now is the Robin King among all these Robins. That was really cool, that ending. That really brought it full circle for me, alright? Because up to that point, okay, he met the Battle last. Every evil Dark Knight has met the Battle last. Like, that's just pretty much the point now. It's nothing new. But then he went to the Battle last. He went to his world. The Battle last tried to trick him. But the Robin King is better, alright? He took this pill. He got away with it. He had his own free will. That was good, right? I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. But to see all these Robins, all these goblins now cheer for him and bring it all together, that final page, that's what brought it home for me. I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. That's pretty cool. I like it, alright? But up to that point, other stuff we saw other than like the flashback and the continued origin story of the Robin King, we saw in the present day, the Robin King kill Animal Man, kill Red Tornado, and kill Blue Beetle. Those are gruesome deaths and just show how powerful and formidable Robin King is, but we also saw Robin King go against the tree, and the Robin King just wants to be able to follow him, and he wants to show people how he can take down the tree. Like, one of his big dreams is to kill the tree, and they didn't even fight back. Now, the Darkest Knight, I kind of felt like him in this issue was kind of like, whatever. I didn't really like it. Because see him, oh, I'm ultra powerful. Oh, you gave him what I wanted. Okay, Robin King, let me show you to this. Okay, if that final page didn't bring it together well, this entire issue could have felt flat. But I really feel like the final issue brought it all together very well. But up to that point, Darkest Knight, I was kind of like, okay, this is not your book. Your book is coming out in a couple weeks, which is called Rise to the New God, something like that. It has Darkest Knight on the cover. Yeah, that's about the Darkest Knight. This is about the Robin King. Don't be bringing Darkest Knight into this and make him a big deal. Like, come on, Bound and Last, the Darkest Knight are in this a lot. Give Robin King more time. Yes, you're probably like, wait, but Robin King gets most of the issue. Yes, I get that, but Darkest Knight, I feel like, I don't know, he's just gonna be a generic villain at this point, and in my opinion, I like the Robin King way more because he's developed more. Yeah, I know you're gonna say, what, but Darkest Knight, he had all that development of the Bound and Last. No, Bound and Last was a cool idea that I really liked, that got dragged on a little bit, and then he became the Darkest Knight just to make him more powerful. And I do like the idea of the Dark Manhattan thing, but now I'm kind of getting annoyed with the Darkest Knight, alright? I know he's powerful and all, but just every step of the way, he's like, I got a plan for this, I got a plan for that, oh, you can't stop me. And he's just a generic villain. Now, where Robin King, he's a little more interesting. And I like how he's killing off these heroes, and at the end, he has a whole army of goblins. I like that. I'm excited to see what Scott Snyder will do with that in the main series. Now, Peter J. Tomasi did a great job in this issue. He wrote the issue very well, and there's some really good lines to the Robin King. Now, the other part of this issue is the art by Riley Rossimo. Now, usually I don't like Riley Rossimo's artwork, but I really feel like his art only fits with, like, say, horror tales. Like, stuff that's really gruesome, like the Bound and Last one-shot, or the Robin King one-shot, this one. It works well with it. But there is times where I'm like, okay, the artwork's a little messy, doesn't look that good, but there's also times I'm like, oh wow, that actually fits the tone perfectly. So I'm kind of mixed with the artwork. But I'm just gonna say, I'm not a big fan of Rossmo's artwork. I don't really like it that much. It was okay in the whole Batman the Shadow miniseries, and it was really good in the Batman last one-shot, but I don't want him in too many of the books, alright? Because he's not my favorite artist, he just fits in a certain tone, and that tone is gruesome, violence, and horror, alright? That's pretty much what that tone is. Any book that is like the Robin King, this one-shot, or maybe Batman Last, then okay, Ronnie Rossmo, call him up, he'd do the art. But if it's just a main Batman title, or a Nightwing comic, or a Superman comic, leave him up, alright, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, I'm overall gonna give this issue an 8 out of 10. I thought it was solid, it was a good issue, you can pick it up. If you skip it, you won't be missing that much. But if you want to expand the origin story of the Robin King, check it out. And also the ending, I do feel like it comes together very well and makes this a solid issue. If you guys like me, give a big thumbs up on the channel, make sure to subscribe to my next Death Metal comic review. I'll probably, actually, next up we got Rise of a New God, which actually continues what happened in Multiverse's End, and we see what happens to the Darkest Night. And then after that we got Death Metal number 5, which I'm intrigued and excited about, because I want to find out what the last 52 is. Alright, because that was an interesting end last issue, but it was also very kind of shoehorned into Death Metal number 4. So I want to see how they explain that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.